Hi, my presentation today is over leadership, understanding the 5 levels, and ways to apply them inclusively. So we begin with John Maxwell's quote, "Leadership is not a noun, it's a verb," which is pretty important advice to keep in mind when you think of leadership. The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. To be effective leaders, you must first understand how to go from level 1 to level 5, meaning that to get to level 5, you must first understand how to go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, level 3 to level 4, and thus level 4 to level 5. Level 1 is the position level, and at the position level, it does not automatically make you a leader. Um, People at this level, they follow you because they have to, because this is how they get paid. You will not get the best out of your people at this level. They do so just basically to get a paycheck and to do what they have to do. But the good thing about it is that it initiates the leadership journey, where you begin to shape and define who you are and who you want to be as a leader. Level 2 is the permission level. And at this level, relationships with people is the foundation of leadership, because leadership is about influence. And at this level, you begin to learn how to influence others and build relationships with your workers and your people. And at this level, people begin to follow you because they want to. You've connected with them and you're well liked, and you do the following things very well. You listen to others. You hear them talk to each other. You listen to them when they talk to you. You observe them and how they interact with each other and how they interact with you. And you continue to learn about them as well as yourself. Level 3 is the production level, and this is where you as a leader, it's important that you recognize who you attract for your team. Um, at this level, you begin to help the company's bottom line. You are producing, and you're producing by example, by modeling for your people how to be productive, and then you begin to attract people who want to be productive also. And then you develop momentum, and John Maxwell told an important story about momentum, and in reference to a train going down the track, and that there being a 5 foot obstacle in front of the track, in front of the train on the track, and because of the momentum that the train had built up, it was able to bust through the obstacle and continue down its path. Whereas a train that had not started moving, if you put a 1-inch block in front of the wheels on that train, it wouldn't even be able to continue to start, to begin. So momentum is very important. He said that 80% of problems are solved due to momentum. Level 4 is the people development level. When you increase a person's capacity, they increase yours. Meaning that if you invest in your people, if you develop them, then it's only going to benefit you as well. At this level, you grow people. You're able to recruit the right people. You're able to understand where to position them and how to position them so that you can get the most out of your people. And you also equip them. And he went through the 5 keys to development. The first being, I do it, meaning that you can't teach others how to do it unless you're able to do it yourself. And then once you're able to do it, then you take someone else with you. And so you take someone and you teach them, you walk with them, and you work together as a team, showing them how you do it. And then from there you go to you do it and I'm with you, where they do it and then you fine tune them. You help them, develop their craft and perfect it. And then at that point you let them do it. And then the level 5 is where they do it with someone else. And level 5, the pinnacle level. Once you've reached this level, people automatically follow you. I kind of think of the Pied Piper and the rats that follow. But this is where you have developed enough respect, enough rapport, you have honed your skills well enough that you're automatically followed. So now we're going to move to Social Justice Leadership and Living Systems by Max Clow. This is an important video in terms of inclusive leadership. How does large-scale social change happen? When we think of large scale, we think of, apartheid, we think of colonialism, we think of segregation, and how all of those changed. What is social justice leadership? How do we think about transforming these systems? He began with a journey or a story at Camp Anytown, where he observed a week-long leadership program for diverse high school students. They went there to discuss all the isms, racism, ageism, sexism, and it was a pretty intensive camp. And here's what he found. One morning, rather than gathering in a circle outside for breakfast, as the students had been doing, this morning they were separated into groups, white, Jews, Asians, lesbian, gays, transsexuals, bisexuals, Latinos, blacks. And they were told not to speak with the other groups and not to make eye contact with them either. At breakfast, the white students got to go first, and they got double servings, and the black students had to go last, and they didn't even get a table to sit at. It is called the separation exercise, and it's what they did for every camp that they had with these diverse high school students. And the researchers found that there were 3 areas of importance that continue to prove themselves in the research, their findings. First was at the individual level. And what the researchers found there was what the key qualities of individuals who first challenged the system. And first, they had a powerful, those that first did, they had a powerful connection to their inner voice, meaning that they knew something was wrong and they had to do something about it. They couldn't deny what their inner voice was telling them. The second was the balcony perspective. These students really didn't want to challenge their peers nor the authority figures. They just kind of sat back and watched and kind of stood over and just viewed everything. And then third was the courage. And at the courage, these students were willing to challenge the status quo. And the second level is the intergroup level. And the findings that researchers found there was that at the intergroup level, groups at the top were blinded to the system. When they were debriefing at the end and asking these groups, things about the whole simulation, these groups at the top didn't even realize that the groups at the bottom didn't have a place to sit for breakfast and that they hadn't gotten second servings. Next was the findings of the groups at the bottom mistakenly assumed that the groups at the top were responsible. So the groups at the bottom automatically thought that the reason that they were in the position that they were due to the decisions of the groups at the top. And then the members at the lower groups were the first to challenge the system, and they found this remarkably consistent throughout the programs that they researched. And third was the whole living system. And what researchers found in the whole living system was that there was always a tipping point, meaning that in each of the exercises, Maybe 30 minutes had passed, 60 minutes had passed, but at some point an individual stood up and said, you know, this is wrong, and took some action. And in a matter of minutes, it changed the whole face of the system altogether. And then from there, self-organization took place. And once the system tipped, there were patterns of organization that weren't being directed by or directed or controlled by anyone. Then there were forms of nonlinearity that they found, and it was clear then at that point that an individual's actions could transform the entire system. And from there, interdependence began, and where it caused a ripple effect and began to influence other groups. And then other patterns emerged where they all were willing to stand up. And we've seen these same dynamics play out on the world stage, where individuals become a tipping point that cause greater change. Rosa Parks, for instance, Tiananmen Square, Nelson Mandela, Malala. And what's important to understand about both of these leadership systems is that they don't run parallel to each other. And while Maxwell's point for the 5 levels of leadership wasn't brought or wasn't related to any social grouping in particular, it was related as a whole. That we must recognize individuals and people as a whole to be successful, and that social justice leadership is interconnected to the 5 levels of leadership, meaning that we must understand how living systems work, that there is injustices, there is biases, there is prejudices, there are things that we must recognize. We must be willing to stand up for and do something about, and that one individual can make a difference. And so that was the importance that I got from both of these videos. Thank you.